Welcome to another episode of the ME Show. Today, we are diving into a topic that resonates with me and with every parent, and of course, caregivers out there: the art of peaceful parenting. If you've ever found yourself raising your voice in frustration, facing resistance from your children, or dealing with challenging tantrums, you are not alone. Parenting is a journey, and today we're going to explore four transformative secrets that promise to bring more peace, cooperation, and harmony into your home. Imagine a family environment where communication flows calmly, where routines bring structure yet flexibility, and where positive attention fosters growth and happiness. Our conversation today is inspired by insights and experience shared by the one and only Celia Kibler, a seasoned expert in parenting with decades of wisdom to offer. And we'll discuss how to effectively stop yelling and start communicating, how to handle resistance with understanding, and the magic of ending tantrums on their tracks. This will be the role model for the children you've always desired to be. Whether you're a parent, a guardian, or someone deeply involved with children, this episode is designed for you. We're so excited to share these practical strategies that can turn everyday challenges into opportunities for connection and development. So watch, take notes, and also we're going to be offering a special invitation for special consultations and parental manuals and promises for transformative resources for parenting journey. So get started, take notes in this harmonious family life journey that we're about to evolve with you right now. Celia Kibler, founder of Day of Calm Foundation and author of the award-winning book, Raising Happy Toddlers: How to Build Great Parenting Skills and Stop Yelling at Your Kids, is taking a decisive step into supporting parents during these challenging times. Her book, which recently received the prestigious 2024 International Impact Book Award in Parenting, as well as receiving the Mom's Choice Award in 2023, is a practical guide for parents seeking to raise respectful, cooperative children without restoring the anger. Her mission is to help 10 million parents stop yelling at their kids. Simple as that. Through her book and her newest program, the Yell Free Family, she provides parents with the tools and strategies they need to create a peaceful, cooperative home environment, regardless of their children's ages as well. Parents learn a system and a blueprint, if you will, that will allow them to rely through the stages and phases of childhood, resulting in becoming a proactive parent instead of an emotionally reactive parent. The stress level of the parent and child is significantly reduced because the parent is no longer flying by the seat of their hands, frustrated with chaotic home, and the child is now listening, cooperating, and contributing to the success of the home. Let's give some virtual love to the one and only Celia Kibler. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that bio right. She's amazing. She's incredible. She's fantastic. And 10 years ago, she interviewed me in her platform. So it is my turn to return the shine, the gold, and the amazing attention to the greatest of them all, to the one and only who's going to school you and me about all things parenting, the greatest, Miss Celia Kibler. What's going on, sister, from another mister? How you doing today?
Hey, Ali, how are you? So
I
good to
am
see you. And you yourself have become so much in just 10 years. And I'm thrilled to be with you again.
Can you believe it that we're saying 10 years? Like, I mean, for real, for real. We
And we
were
haven't gotten any older. That's the amazing thing.
No. I mean, if you look at our videos from back then, the resolution was terrible. The microphone sounded bad. The lighting was inexistent, but the value was always there. No, but I'm so proud of you. First and foremost, I was telling you offline, but I want to also double down online. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to there's a screen behind me, and you may see a different view of it. This superhero that I'm about to talk to you, I know the monologue was talking about what we're covering. I know the bio talked about what we're covering. But check this out. This is a factual statistic that I'm very, very starstruck with. The very first piece is 183 online courses that have been sold by this superhero. You heard that right. 183 online courses sold. A million plus parents that have been held so far. Now, I'm a parent and I am super excited. I know my chief production officer on the other side is excited to get his questions answered because he's a parent as well. And 6 published books thus far. And her goal is 10 million parents to be helped. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I set the stage for you, and I hope you are ready. So, first and foremost, sis, I need you to talk to me. I mean, how did this passion about teaching and helping parents start? I mean, I know being a parent is one thing, but to make it a mission of a lifetime for you, it's got to be something that has occurred that you said, I'm going to go all in and do something about parenting for the masses. Talk to me.
Well, I have always cared about children, always. They have been my life, my goal to really deal with and create as much as I could contribute to creating healthy children that are positive, that are encouraged, that are living their best life and learning how to be an adult, because that's what we're doing. We're raising adults, not children. They're already children. It is our job to raise a confident, self-reliant adult. Where did it begin? I really have to begin with my dad, because my dad, and this is where my passion came from. My dad was an incredible human, and he was all about doing good for humans. And that's probably where I got my passion to do good for humans. And he, being an aeronautical engineer, did many things that you today take advantage of. It was him and his buddies that put airplane seatbelts into cars for the first time. So
Oh,
when you buckle that belt around your lap, you have him to thank. He worked on the Apollo mission, sending men to the moon. He created seaplanes that would carry water to land fire. He created the fastest ship on record, still in the Guinness Book of World Records, for the US Navy. And it goes on and on and on. But here's the catch. And this is what I really want you to listen to at this very moment. This man that did all these great things for humanity, this incredible person, my father, always thought he was mediocre. You say, how can someone like that think they're mediocre? He put seatbelts into cars, the millions of lives saved. How can a man like this just feel mediocre up until the day he died when he was 92? World War II vet, always felt like anyone could have done what he did. Why did he feel so mediocre? Why was he always down on himself? Was because he was physically and mentally abused as a child. He
wow.
was screamed at, he was hit, he was basically beaten down. And what happens when you grow up in an environment like this? And again, I want you to drill this into your head. Children don't grow up hating their parent. They grow up hating themselves.
Ouch.
And is
That
that what you want for the children you just gave birth to?
that is um yeah, you know you're gonna be doing some work with me today, right? You know enough about me to know my past and my story, and the abuse that I've forgiven my parents for, and thank God we're in a good place. But there are triggers there, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and it's interesting triggers, right? Like there's two triggers. The one is like, yeah, I know what you mean. I've been there. I feel it still right now. But the second trigger is like, I'm not a softie. I'm okay, right? And then there's that battle in the head, as a 30 sexy forever, you know the deal, Celia. Once we make 36, that's it. We don't count them. We're 30 sexy forever. So once we're 30 sexy, your brain starts messing with the idea of there's nothing wrong with me. And then I find myself lonely when no one is seeing me, and I cry and I get all
Right.
these mixed emotions of why wasn't my father in a such a way, or why was he in such a way with me? So it's fascinating that a human being, such a gift to humanity, and such accomplishment. I feel like there should be a movie about your father, by the way. May his soul rest in peace. That is phenomenal. I mean, goodness gracious, how did your husband have the ability to go and say, would I'm asking for your daughter's hand? I mean, the standards were up here. Woo!
He asked him, and luckily he loved my husband.
Wow. Wow.
But
Yeah. I mean,
and it's true. It's like you wonder how can and that's just the crusp of it. Is that the
yeah.
right word? I mean, he was the director of science and technology for the Navy. It goes on and on and on. And this guy, if you asked him, even up to his death, he'd be like, well, these are his words. Anyone could have done that. Anyone could have done that.
So do you
Up
do you
to his
think,
death.
because you've mentioned, he felt mediocre by himself. Do you think it was mediocrity, or you think it was humility, or was it a mixture of both? Like, at what
It was
point? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It was not feeling good enough. How many of you think, even if you're doing great things, like, should I be doing this? Am I good enough to do it? Why me? What are people thinking of me? Everybody's like, what if they judge me? What if they think, badly of me? What if they think I'm a fool? What? And it's all your thoughts that have been drilled into your head from childhood, that second guessing all the time, that worried about what everyone else thinks, that comes from yelling, constant yelling. Because when you are constantly yelled at, you are constantly being judged.
And interestingly enough, my wife and I have this discussion every now and then, where we say, "Let me know," like, kind of nudge me if I'm out of line sometimes, right? Like, and sometimes you don't know when you're in the middle of like an angry moment, right? There is a difference between screaming and yelling. Like, you don't have to be loud when you're yelling at somebody. A condescending tone could be considered as, it's like being yelled at, right? Like, hey, sit over there and don't do this or don't do that. What do you think you are? You're stupid. You're this, you're that. It's just an insulting format of a language. Am
Right?
I am I on target with?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people say, well, I'm
Realize
not
that
screaming.
communication, and this is a very general breakdown, it breaks down finer than this, is 80%, 80% nonverbal, 20% the words you say. And in that nonverbal category of 80% is the tone of voice, is the actions, rolling your eyes, pointing, flipping your face away, looking at your phone, not looking at your child. That is what's communicating, not those words.
Yeah. Yeah. And my God, there's I feel like there will be a little bit of guilt here, saying, a parent of,
Sorry.
no, it's a good guilt. Look, there's a difference between good guilt, when you realize, I just didn't know what I didn't know, and I'm learning and being educated. Now I have an opportunity to adjust.
Right.
Because look, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is ignorance, right?
Right.
So I need to be educated on what I think I'm doing right may be actually detrimental to my child for decades to come. So it's a very important conversation for everybody to listen to. So let's dig into your childhood. You spoke about your father, military man, how accomplished, and obviously very high standards in many, many different. How was your childhood growing up? Well, do you feel like there
So
was yelling or?
my childhood, I have scoliosis. I wore a body brace from 8th grade to 12th grade. So from my neck to my hips. And so I was like the handicapped kid. So I was given a lot of space. I didn't take a lot of the yelling and the screaming, and I learned very early that when my father started yelling, I left. Not so with my siblings. When my father started yelling, they would yell back, and then it would turn into World War III. And, but I didn't do that. So my father, and he told me this, before he passed away, he said, "You and I always got along best. Of all the kids, we got along best. And the reality is not necessarily that we got along best, but that I would not feed into the yelling, the screaming match.
Yeah.
So to him, and we did get along well. I mean, absolutely. I love that man dearly, but he was very hard. He did not gratefully bring physical abuse into his home. And like you said with your wife, Ali, he said to my mom, if I ever physically abuse any of you, you have my permission to end this marriage immediately. And so he did not, but he was very short tempered. You know, you didn't know what would set him off. My mother felt like she always walked on eggshells, as did we. And he would call my mom stupid and an idiot. And funny enough, this funny part is when he would have these name calling, yelling sessions against my mom, when his mother was there, and she was a very short, like barely 5 feet tall, old German woman. She would look at my dad, and my dad, she would call him Sonny. And she would look at him after he did this and slammed my mother, not physically.
Yeah.
And she would say to him, Sonny, you're smart, 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 but stupid. Because he was a smart, smart man,
All right.
clearly. But he would do stupid behaviors and he wouldn't learn a better way. That's the thing, guys. If this is happening, if you were raised this way and you are bringing in that generational cycle of dysfunction and abuse, there is a better way. Be willing to learn a better way, because did you like being yelled at? Did you like being hit? No, nobody does. Somebody said to me, my child actually likes being yelled at. No, I'm sorry. No one likes being yelled at.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a two-way street of healing or education, So I look at myself as a parent to a young 7-year-old and 4-year-old children, and I got to be aware of what I'm doing, right? And at the same exact time, I look at myself as a uh, biologically 39-year-old man, and my father specifically and my mother specifically very dysfunctional. I mean, I don't have per se much of positive memories growing up with my family. And I feel like we are ignoring the bad and pretending that everything is always good, right? Like we see each other on Christmas, we see each other on Thanksgiving, it's like we give each other limited time, just enough to say that we love each other, we are good. Now, okay, I feel like something is about to happen, run out, and keeping it that way, right? So let's talk from the first perspective. For me, as a parent to my child, I find myself sifting the good things that I believe I've gotten out of a discipline from my parents and reminding myself what I hated about how I was treated by my parents. My parents were quick with the sandal, the belt, the cable, the stick, the rock, the remote, whatever you could think of, whatever was around. I was born and
To
raised in
hit you.
Morocco, Northwest Africa, folks. So just so you know, in that side of the world, if you get in between a parent and his child while the child is being disciplined, you're next. Like and it's a norm over there. There
And
is no,
flogging is normal.
unfortunately, right? So
Yes.
so
Still.
I my pet peeve, my wife and I, like, if I'm talking to Sebastian about something and I'm disciplining him for whatever reason, I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? You don't behave like that and whatnot. And she would come out of nowhere and she, in her mind, backing me up. Right. And it will be a conversation like, no, Sebastian, you really don't. I immediately walk away. And she's like, what? I'm like, no, just let you have the conversation. I feel like we're ganging up on him. Like when two grown humans, right, are looking at this little seven. I remember when I was 7, I was a baby, looking back now. And to have two big humans that are screaming at you, or forget screaming, just telling you you're doing wrong, is bad, is bad, is bad. It's gonna be very overwhelming. So how do you go? This is the part that my listeners are going to thank me, because I'm trying to get you guys a free consultation. You know what I'm saying? How does a parent, or do this couple, myself and my wife, discipline this child without destroying his mindset for decades to come?
Well, first you have to understand that the human brain does not fully develop until you're 25
Yep.
years old. So your child, Ali, at 7 years old, do the math, please, because I can't.
He's got
How many
19 years to go.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's what you got to go. So my father was not thrilled with me that I wasn't good at math. Anyway, the problem is we are too often expecting our children to respond to us like an adult, and I'm here to tell you it is not just difficult, it is impossible. Their brain doesn't have in it what you have. At 7 years old, your son is just beginning to develop logic and reasoning. So you look at something and go, "Oh, let's look at this logically." He can't look at it logically because it's not in his brain. Why would you do that? You ask a 7-year-old why, their answer is, "I have no idea." Because you know why? They have
Literally
no
what
idea.
Sebastian and look, I'm guilty in charge. So here's me. This is you Sebastian, help me understand what makes you think that it's okay for you to respond to your mother the way that you just did. And he'll just do one of these. I'm like, really? You have no answer. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, you don't know why you just decided to behave that. I don't know, Papa. I'm like, okay, so should I take your Xbox away so you can remember next time not to behave that? So that is a real issue and gap that I have from a parenting perspective that I'm speaking logically as a 39-year-old grown man to a 7-year-old child, and I'm anticipating that this child is going to have the same level conversation. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. Correct. And what you're doing, here's the reality, parents that are watching, and Ali and anyone else, is most of the cooperation and listening issues with your child are not their problem. It's what you're doing. It's the way you're communicating to them. It's the way you're talking to them. So if a child talks disrespectfully to you, here's a gold nugget. You can write this down. If a child speaks disrespectfully to you, number one, understand you don't deserve that disrespect. But also understand that he may be irritable, maybe he's hungry, maybe he's thirsty, and he's just barking orders. However, whatever the reason, you have 2 ways I'm going to tell you to handle it. Don't discuss it. Don't dive into a whole conversation. Look at that child and nicely and calmly say, try that again, please. Try that again, please. And if they try it again and they're kind, then go on and give them a glass of water. If they're asking for a glass of water, please, using manners. If they come back and they bark another order at you, I give you permission to walk away and go on with your life until they speak respectfully to you. That's your 2 responses. Try that again, please. And the second, walk away and go on with your life.
Got
Now,
it. Did you
heads
hear that,
up,
my wife? My wife, it is your fault
explain
as
that.
well.
What?
I'm letting my wife know it is on her too. Because my
Yes,
wife and I are
both
gonna
of you,
watch
you
this
have
when
to
this
be on the same
episode is
page.
fully on. My wife is gonna be like, "You do that," and I'm gonna be like, "No, you do that." So this is on the both of us, sweetheart.
Right. You have to be on the same page. And I want you to tell your child about it first so they don't think you're just ignoring them. And then they're like, Mom, Dad, you're not listening to me. And they're running after you. You tell them these are the responses if you're not speaking respectful. I'm going to ask you to try it again, please, calmly. And if you still speak unkindly to me, I'm going to walk away. I'm not walking away to ignore you. I'm walking away until you speak kinder, because when you engage in conversation, when you have we don't talk that way in this house. And I don't know why you're talking to me like that and blah, 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 blah. You give your child permission to talk to you that way. Once you've engaged in a conversation that started with disrespect, you give them permission to talk to you that way.
Do you think that, and again, this is just me assuming, I'm not an expert here, but do you think that a child act the way he or she act based on what they actually have learned from their parents? In other words, does my child mirror my behavior when he might have seen me on the phone and, reacting to bad news, or he may have seen me react to, dropping something, and I had a moment where I'm like, dang it, like, or reacting to my wife when she and I are not in agreement. I'm like, why do you always have to do that? Do you think that my child copies me based on what he sees? First of all, is that's my first question. I have a follow up on that.
100%. And that's
So,
why it's so important for you and your wife, or anyone listening, you and your partner, to be intentional about the way you talk to each other, because what they see from their parents is their normal of what a relationship is. So if you and your partner are screaming and yelling and cussing and calling names, that's their normal. And that's how they will act with a sibling, a cousin, a friend, a future love interest, because that's what they're learning from you.
so my follow up question to that is, it's hard sometimes for a grown man or a grown woman to take a little bit of responsibility, and it's justified with, well, I'm old school, he'll get over it, my parents did this with me and look how I ended up okay. How do you address that parent that may be hard-headed and, for the lack of better words, thinking that because I am the bigger body in the house, I can get away with it and I'll be okay?
So, a few things to that. First of all, you had mentioned tantrums.
Yeah.
So, let me tell you, if you are an adult and you are screaming and yelling at your child or someone, calling names, cussing, maybe even throwing things, not, hopefully that's not happening. But if you're raging, you are having a tantrum. No different than that 2-year-old that's having a tantrum that
It's a
you're
body.
irritated with.
Yeah.
So you are teaching your child that when you get disappointed in something, something upsets you, you throw a tantrum.
Mhm.
And they're learning that. Instead of being in control of your emotions, it is important, in order to teach emotional intelligence and emotional regulation, that you actually have it. So it is up to you to learn a way that you can stay calm. Now, there's one way that people yell often, and they'll say to me, well, I start out real nice. And I ask my child 1, 2, 3, 4 times over and over again, nicely. They don't do anything till I yell. So they will only listen to me if I yell.
You're
But
developing a behavior.
here, what?
You're developing a behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Number 1, just like you said, you're training them to wait till you yell,
Yeah.
because you're not doing anything. You're not serious until you yell. But the problem in that scenario is not the yelling. The problem is the asking over and over again. If you ask your child to turn off a tablet, time to come to dinner, and you ask them that, and you go into the kitchen and you're messing with dinner, and you come back out and they're still on the tablet, why are you asking again? Take the tablet away. Now the tablet is gone for 24 hours. I asked you to come off it. You didn't. Tablet gone. 24 hours. You'll get it back 24 hours from now, tomorrow. And then if the same thing occurs again, you do it again. That is a learning consequence. That is a consequence that will eventually, after the second or third time, teach your child that when you ask them to get off the tablet, they will get off. Why? Because you're serious about it.
So you may get that crying moment the first time you snatched it, well, not snatch, hopefully, but when you're like, hey, I told you the tablet goes away, and they're gonna cry and whine and whatever, give them their moment, they come back and eat and ask for it. Nope, tomorrow.
Right.
Maybe they'll cry again day 2, day 3, but by day 4, you should start seeing the new habit developing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. Don't change your life. Don't alter your beliefs because your child might cry. Crying happens. If you let a child know that their tantrum directs the way you live, they will have tantrums forever. My clients, they come to me, their kids are having tantrums 6, 7 times a day. By the time we're a few weeks into our work together, Their kids are having a few tantrums in a week. By the time we're done, they're having maybe a tantrum a month. Why? Because their tantrums are not being what's controlling their family, and they're not being given into. You give into a tantrum, it'll continue.
Cool. I got one more question before we go to for our first commercial break. So, for a parent that's been a parent and has a toddler or a teenager, and these bad habits have been in, full full momentum for a lifetime, how do you undo certain things, or do you undo them, or do you create new patterns? What's your quick take on that?
Well, in answer to that, it's never too late. I always tell parents, it's only too late if you're dead. If you're not dead, not too late. You can
Right.
change. So you can change the patterns. And I guarantee you, if you sit down with your teenager and you say, or your toddler or your, you know, elementary school child, if you sit down and you say to your child, I'm learning a new way. I'm trying to be better and I'm working on not yelling at you. There is not one child in the world that's not going to be like, yay, how can I help? They're
Well,
going to be on board with you, supporting you, and do it together. Be a team, be a family, be united, be working on common goals. They will be happy to join you.
awesome. Well, we're going to take our very first commercial break. And when we do come back, we're going to dive into the practical methodology that you use with your clientele and some of the programs and how they actually work with different parents and the results that they create. We'll be right back.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the International Day of Calm. I'm Celia Kibler, and I'm the founder of this incredible day. And I'm so excited to spread calm all across the world. Can you imagine if everybody stayed calm for one day, for just 24 hours, and not even because we sleep part of that time? But if we can intentionally stay calm, I personally believe it truly can change the world. Because once you've spent one day of calm, you want the rest of your days to be that peaceful, that fun, that happy, that invigorating, that motivational. It really will change your world and the world around you. A little about me. I am a family empowerment coach and the author of Raising Happy Toddlers, as well as 3 children's books. And I have been working with parents and kids for over 40 years, as well as parenting my own children for 40 years. And I am on a mission to stop 1 million parents from yelling at their kids. But I don't want it to just stop there. I want everyone to stop yelling, everyone to stop hating, everyone to stop judging and criticizing. I want everyone to start thinking before they act. Start contemplating a proactive response instead of a reactive response. Start really taking the intention to create a calmer, a more cooperative communication, workplace, family for all the days to come. And I really do believe one day of calm can make that happen. We really can change this world. It really can start with just one person. And I love you to say right now, I'm calm too, and use that hashtag proudly. So now push that button, take the pledge, and welcome aboard. See you in our next calm world for the generations to come.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ali Mehdaoui here with the ME Show and with the great Celia Kibler as we are diving into all things parenting, into all things patterns of childhood, and how to actually raise a happy child without creating some trauma like some of us have actually endured and have grown with. So we're back with our special guest and expert. And Celia, first and foremost, thank you for those amazing, incredible nuggets. And I want to dive a little bit more into the systems that you have. Now, I understand, and I've talked about it at the top of the interview, 180 plus courses and over 1 million parents that you have helped and assisted. But talk to me about the best system or method or program that you are working with right now to help parents.
Okay. And I appreciate, Ali, you saying a system because that's what it is, guys. There's a system for everything. You learn a career, you learn a system. You become a plumber, you learn how to be a plumber. You become a doctor, you learn how to be a doctor. You become a teacher, you learn how to teach. We have a system for going to the bathroom. We go to the bathroom, we pull our pants down, we don't pee through our pants. Everything has a system. We know how to drive a car, system. And isn't it odd that the biggest responsibility that humans have raising the next generation, people take so lightly? Oh, I can raise my child. I don't need any help. If they need to, they'll recover from their childhood. Wouldn't it be nice to raise a generation that doesn't have to recover from their childhood, that can blossom from their childhood? Wouldn't that be great? A generation that was not filled with the anger and rage, the epidemic that we deal with every day that affects all of our kids. So I do have a system and I teach a system, and it's a 5-step system. And what I do is I take all of these ingredients, I teach them to you so that you master them. And that system gives you the ability to tackle any stage or phase of the childhood of your family. That way, you know what to do. Like we mentioned early on, you're proactive instead of emotionally reactive. Because when we're emotionally reactive, we lose control. And when you have a system, when you know what to do when your child misbehaves, or you know what to do to encourage your child to cooperate, you know how to set up proper limits and boundaries and consequences, all part of the system. Schedules, routines, encouragement. They're not there. This system does not keep them from having consequences. Consequences are a necessity. They're a part of life. So we are raising an adult, and our system starts with what we've been talking about, an inquiry into you. How were you raised? What are your beliefs? What are your goals? What are your core values? How did this all begin for you? How do you believe your child should be raised? Who do you think your child should be? So we do a lot of diving into you. And then we go from inquiry to unity. Why unity? Because we want everybody on the same page, like I just mentioned. Parents on the same page, not, oh, this one's doing this and this one's doing this, and we're teaching our children to play one another.
Yeah.
When you say something and the other parent contradicts you, they take your authority away.
Hmm.
Gone. It is important to have that unity. And like I said, your kids will be on board too.
It,
Third
it,
step, clarity. Get clear on what we're training you, what we're teaching you, where you want to be. Where do you see yourself in 6 months staying on this course? And then we teach all the strategies. Everything you need to know, I teach you and I make sure you've mastered it. So I'm not just giving it to you and handing it to you. I want you to master it. And lastly, harmony. Is that not what you want for your family? Do you want to live in harmony, cooperation, listening, respect, fun, laughter? Isn't laughter a lot better than screaming and yelling and being stressed all the time? Stress is a number one killer. There was
yep.
just a study done where they figured out that 52% of parents are stressed beyond their ability to cope with it.
Mm.
2%. Few years ago was 20%. It's a rough road, and if you're that stressed out, your kids are too, because everything you feel, they feel. And this 5-sectioned teaching of the system is what's gonna get you to harmony, get you to where your children cooperate. They listen. They want to because they're encouraged. And you're noticing the positive, not always the negative. You're seeing what they're doing right and encouraging them and complimenting them. You're not just speaking out when things are going wrong. Because when we only speak about what's going wrong, kids feel like they're bad kids. And you have to turn that around, because if your child thinks they're the bad kid, they're going to be the bad kid everywhere they go and live up to that expectation.
I would love to the point of validation. Um, and look, I think every parent at some point, no matter how good or bad of a parent, you think of your kids are the best kids, right? And thank
Hopefully.
God, my little one Sebastian, he's learning his third language. He's
Amazing.
beyond his age when it comes to education. Like, everybody's always like, my God, you've been blessed with an angel. He's perfect. He's perfect. I'm like, hey, he's only perfect when he's out of the house. But when in the house, which I tell my wife all the time, high five, as long as he keeps that inside the house. I mean, he's like, his school's teachers call him Mr. Kindness. That's his nickname since he was in kindergarten, and he still
So
carries it.
wonderful. And that
Yeah, it feels good, right? But I don't know sometimes what I'm doing wrong. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, it was a moment where his mother was telling me, like, he tests her. Like, with me, he is like my ride or die. He doesn't even give me a hard time. But I always find myself, like, before going to bed, we pray, and then we're having a conversation. Like, dude, we're like, what's up with that? Like, why would you act like that with your mom? And 2 weeks ago, he asked me and his mother to come to his room, and he's like, I want to talk to you guys. And when I say he just burst out in tears, I'm like, what's wrong? And he started, like, I get choked up when I think about it. And he's like, I just feel like everything that I'm doing, I'm wrong. I just feel like all the time you guys are trying to tell me how to do better. I'm never good enough. And I'm like, Sebastian, like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're good. He's like, no, you keep telling me that I'm an extraordinary kid, and that's why you are hard on me. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, am I like this hard on this kid? So I ask, there's this idea of childhood from the 90s is different than childhood from today. The way we used to be from a mindset or society to where it is right now is different. How do we as parents sustain or maintain certain core values and certain behaviors without being too hard on a child?
you have structure. If you're screaming and yelling at any child, guys, that's what they're going to think. Everything I do is wrong. Nothing I do is right. I'm a bad kid. I can't do anything. They're going to lose all self-confidence, self-esteem, self-respect, lose their value of themselves, because they'll think that everything they do is wrong. And one of the biggest issues is that we are quick to respond to things that go wrong and slow to respond, if ever, to things that go right. And and I know, Ali, you know this, what you focus on grows.
Expense,
So
yeah.
if you are focusing on the negative, that's what you're going to get, more negative. Let me give you an example. This is a very common parenting situation. Okay. Parents busy working or making dinner or something, and their two siblings are playing in the other room. They're playing all nice. They're sweet. They're getting along. There's nothing happening. They're doing a great job. You're getting your work done. Everything's great. About a half hour in, they start screaming and yelling at each other. What does a parent do? They drop what they're doing. They run in
Run
there and they're like,
downstairs to the
what
basement and
is
start
going
screaming.
on?
Yep. Guilty in charge.
Everybody does it. Why
Guilty.
is that bad? Because your kids just played together kindly and respectfully and gently for a half hour, and you did not bother to say one thing to them. You went
Mhm.
in and yelled at them for yelling. What should have happened is, halfway through you doing whatever you were doing and then playing nice, is you should have stopped what you were doing, walked in there and said, guys, you're playing so nice. I really appreciate it. I'm getting my work done. I'm getting dinner ready. We're going to be ready soon. Don't even address that argument, because they probably had an argument because they're sick of each other, and go on and do something fun with them. go do something with them. Address the good. They do so much more good than not good.
Yeah.
I don't even like to say bad because not bad. It's just not
Yeah,
good.
Sebastian is gonna appreciate this. Sebastian has this say. He always says, "Papa, just so you know, there is no such thing as adults. We are all kids. It's just some of us have bigger bodies." And looking back at the conversation, like, hey, I don't like to be yelled at. Like when somebody yells at me, I'm like, who are you talking to? Like I automatically want to retaliate. And I believe that that child feels like saying who you're talking to, but they just don't know, or they feel like this big body in front of me, I can't respond that way. So their best defensive mechanism is cry or jump on the floor or run up to my
Right.
room or whatever the case may be. So it just seems, if I'm hearing you right, hey, parent, you got to work on yourself, not just you pointing the finger that my child behaves bad.
Right. It's
Uh,
not them. It's you. I hate to
oh,
tell you, it's not them. It's you. It's the way you communicate to them, the way you offer them an instruction, the way you try to encourage them or not encourage them to do stuff. Think of motivation. You're much more motivated to do something if you're encouraged to do something.
yeah,
Say you're
yeah.
at work and your boss walks in and goes, "Hey, I'm sorry for the last minute. I really need this paper done in a half hour. Listen, if you get it done, you can just go home, spend the rest of the day. I'll pay you for the day, but go home." Or your boss walks in and goes, "I need this done. I need it done now. I don't care what the heck is going on. Finish it or you're fired."
Oof.
How much effort are you going to put into whatever it is you're going to be like, "Forget you, buddy. Okay, here, it's done. Fire
Yeah,
me if you want." But
yeah.
somebody that said, "Please get it done," treated you with respect. Once you're done, you can go home. Now you're doing your best for that person because they appreciate you.
I love it.
Huge difference.
How long is the program? I know the 5-step program. How long is it usually, or is it adjustable based on the
So
parents' timing?
we have a 6-month program. And actually, if you join now as a special gift, I'm giving 6 months included for free. So it will be
So
a
if you get
year
6 months,
long.
you get a
So
second
you
6
so
months for free.
Yup. So you solidify everything and you are confident in your own parenting so that you can continue, go on with your life, do whatever you want. Talk to me once in a while, up to you.
And here's Celia, I believe in what you're doing so much. We want to add and contribute to your cause. So we want to give away something if you give us permission. So for
Absolutely. We love free stuff.
anyone anyone who completes the first 6 months, any parents who complete the full 6 months, at least the first one, we would like to give them a 4-night, 5-day all-inclusive vacation to Mexico, food, beverage, and lodging, a 5-star resort. We can't pay for their taxes, of course. It's illegal to incentivize by paying taxes, but we will cover the actual stay, lodging, food, and beverage, and they can go anytime. You just gotta let us know, hey,
Wow.
my client is ready, and then we'll take care of the actual booking for them. They just gotta cover their taxes, and whenever they want, obviously, they can book it for 6 months later. After that, they just gotta get their flights on their own
That's
terms.
incredible.
But
So
I just want
you
you to
get a
know
vacation, you get another honeymoon.
well, that's exactly the point. If they finish the full 6 months, that means that as parents, they have committed to do their part towards their kids' well-being. And we want to do our part to celebrate them and say, congratulations, you did your part. So as a contribution to your mission and to your cause, you just got to let your friend Ali, hey, Ali, here's the first name, last name, and email. I need you to send the details of the vacation to John Doe, and then we will absolutely 100%. And Rich, what do you think? 20, 10, 15, 15, 15. This goes for 15 people. So we're going to give you 15 different
That's incredible.
vacations that we can contribute. You just got to let me know. You got my number, sis. You just let me know, and
I
I got
do.
you back with
I
that.
love that. And think about it, guys. You will have gone through 6 months to create calm in your life, peace, eliminate the anxiety and the stress. How many of you are racing around in the morning trying to get your kids out the door and you both start the day, you and your child start the day miserable, anxious, and stressed out. How can you possibly have a good day? You come home from work and you lose total control of your children, or you run a successful business and you're like, I can run a successful business. How can I not run my home? How am I being controlled by this little 2-year-old in my house?
Yeah.
Imagine for a moment what it would be like if you're working together. You are not stressed out. You're laughing. You're having a good time. You're enjoying each other's company. You're happy to come home. You're happy to wake up. You're not like, oh, I can't wait till these kids go to bed, man. When they go to bed, happy land. You're actually giving them hugs and kisses. Honey, I love you. What a great day we had. Can't wait to see you in the morning. That's
Uh,
how I raised my 5 children, and 3 of them are my stepsons. We raised it without yelling, without screaming.
So
We had
if I
fun.
may, and you know, I got two questions before in commercial break. I got a phone in front of me with text messages that are coming through, by the way, with questions about parenting. So I'm taking advantage here. So two things. I've seen my fair share of parents, whether strangers on the street or people that I know, unfortunately, who are just give birth and throw them in the street, let them do whatever they want, and there is no structure, there is no discipline, there's no communication, and there is nothing but hey, what did I say? And just screaming, 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 and that's just the way it is and has been for generations. So for a parent that is the offender, how does that parent break that cycle? That's my first question.
Well, initially, you have to learn a better way, and you have to realize because many people think, okay, well, if I give them a limit or boundary, I'm being mean. So people that, I like to call them free range parents, you can call it permissive parenting, whatever title you'd like to give it, where the child just gets to do whatever the heck the child wants to do. The problem is when somebody walks up to that child and says, "Why are you out so late?" And they go, "Nobody cares." They literally, strongly to their heart believe nobody cares. Why? Because nobody does care. When you set up limits, boundaries, encouragement, consequences, you show that child love. Without it, you are doing them a disservice. You have to learn a better way, and you have to not be quick to assume it's not going to work. Every person I work with, I ask a 25 questions to right off the bat. I form a personal profile on you so I know where you are and where you need to go. But one of those things is, do you believe that your life with your children can be different? Because I don't want to hear, oh, we tried that, didn't work. Oh, if we do that, that's never going to work. My kid's never going to do it. My kid's different. I have been teaching kids for 40 years, plus 40 years. I guarantee you I've taught every kind of child under the rainbow. I've taught special needs for 40 years. I have experience with all kinds of kids. Respect does not go unnoticed for any child, and you do not teach a child respect by disrespecting them.
Hey, Celia, side note, you know, when you started saying that you've been teaching for 40 years, here's the face that Rich just did. There's
I'm
no
old.
way. No, you were like, she's a vampire. There's no way. You know, I mean, we gotta have to fact check that, you know, after the show. But God
I'm
bless
a
you.
grandma to 9 kids.
God bless you. Make it look very, very, very young. We couldn't have to.
Oh, you're all my favorite people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, God bless. That's awesome. All right, here's the next question before we go on commercial break. And this, my friend, is directly from our chief production officer. He definitely didn't text me and tell me to ask you for him. He definitely didn't do that.
Right,
Yeah,
ask
he
this,
did.
ask this.
All right, here we go. So here's the question. How does, first of all, he made a statement. We need to apply that philosophy to our business. Stop focusing on the negative because we tend to do
Funny
that
how
sometimes,
it
you know?
relates, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now here's his question. How does someone adjust to being treated with respect when they have been talked down to their whole entire life?
Respect, true respect is a funny thing because when someone is all of a sudden, and I'm assuming, are you talking about an adult? Like an adult has been treated disrespectfully their whole life,
I am
and now
talking
they're an adult?
specifically. Put me on camera, Rich. I want him to see me as I'm telling you this. I am talking specifically about my chief production officer and my business partner in the ME studio who's sitting on the other side on the control room. He specifically asked that about himself. He's been talked
Okay.
down for his
Okay.
whole entire life, and it makes it very hard where he's reactionary instead of being aware of his emotions.
Okay. So first of all, we need to talk so I can help you. But second of all,
there you go.
shameless
Apply,
plug
my friend.
there. Second of all, the problem is when we are disrespected our whole lives, once again, reflect on my dad, we feel like we're not good enough. So
Yeah.
when all of a sudden we are treated with respect, we doubt it. We don't doubt the validity of that person. We don't doubt. We don't believe the validity of that person. We don't believe that person is actually being truthful and honest with us. How could they treat me with respect? No one treats me with respect. We create a story in our head. And as we create these stories in our head that people go for therapy to recover from, they get created from childhood and they build up and build up. As we have that story in our head, we believe that story and we talk to ourselves terribly. Would you tell your best friend things that you tell yourself? Never.
Mm-mm.
And what happens with our subconscious mind is that whatever we tell it, believe it or not, it will prove true. So if you tell your subconscious mind, I'm a piece of crap, it's going to prove true with different scenarios of you being a piece of crap. If you say, you know what, I deserve better, I'm a good human, I'm a respectful human, I'm a kind human, it's going to start proving that true. What we say to ourselves, it is not garbage, it is fact. It has been proven that that talk is truly a way to change the way your brain thinks of you. And what you say, it will listen to no one like it listens to you. So
Sweet.
it can be changed. It is not easy to change because you have to change the way you believe on yourself and the people around you. If you believe people are out to get you, you have to have a proven track record of people not being out to get you, people treating you with respect, with kindness, knowing like the relationship that you two have. That's a respectful relationship. So even though you were raised without respect, here is evidence that you are worthy of respect. And that's the big change, is making sure that you know you're worthy of being treated kindly, respectfully, and not abusively. No one's worthy of abuse. No one deserves to be treated harshly, to be bullied, to be treated aggressively. No one deserves that.
I love it. Well, thank you for that. And send an invoice to Rich later for that part. We're
I'm
gonna
always
take
here for you, Rich.
Yeah.
You can do that.
We're going to take a quick break. And after we come back, we're going to dive into the future of parenting and childhood in very, very challenging times in our society. We'll be right back.
Life can be overwhelming. We all have our struggles, our differences, and our own pressures. But what if we took a step back, looked beyond our individual perspectives, and discovered the common grounds that unite us?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ali
That's
Mehdaoui, your strategic partner with the ME Show. We are having a blast with Celia, the sister from another mister.
We look
Just so
alike,
you know,
don't we?
say that again.
I said we look alike, don't we?
Yes,
How do you
we
tell us
do.
apart?
Yes, we definitely do. So let me look, and I'm gonna dive into a conversation that I believe. Look, as a parent, I'm gonna speak for myself, it's becoming very, very challenging for a parent nowadays to raise a child based on a lot of societal changes. And I'm talking about, you got pronouns, you got gender affirmation, you got all these different things that I want to respect and I want to honor out of love for every single person, but I'm struggling within my own home. And it becomes, I'm not going to say frustrating, but I had a frustrating moment a couple of days ago. And by the way, you can say next question, and that's okay too. But I'm curious, so how I can maneuver and operate as a parent without impacting my child's reaction to other people who may be different in their rightful ways. What I mean is, a couple of days ago, my little baby girl was watching a Netflix show, and out of nowhere, it's a show rated for 4-year-olds and under. The show is like, I no longer want to identify as she. I want to identify now as he, and now I want you to call me Fred because I don't feel comfortable as he. I want and it was this whole thing, and I'm like, why is my 4-year-old child being exposed to this? And it's very challenging. Almost everything out there is like that. And I want to be progressive, positive minded, but my spiritual values and my fundamental core values are like, hey, that's not me. But at the same exact time, I don't want to be that parent that impacts a child so much so that when that child goes to school, he starts treating other kids who may be in their own ways different. And he becomes a mean person, or she becomes a mean person, if in the case of my daughter. How do us as parents operate in such a change from a rapid change, might I add, from a societal standpoint, or just kind of keep it at home and ignore the noise from the outside?
It's a great question, Ali, and I appreciate you asking it. So one of the things that, and I'm creating a special program based around this, but it's not available yet. Get on my mailing list, you'll get information. But one of the things that does aggravate me is when I see the meme being on social media that constantly says, you can't parent your children like your grandparents parented. You can't parent your children like your parents parented. It's a different world. Well, that may be so, but that doesn't mean that the parenting, the good parenting, I'm not talking about the screaming and yelling and hitting. Obviously, that's, not me. But the qualities that are from generations that are good should not be taken into consideration. And this is what's important, because if you eliminate everything and you wipe out what you think should not be included in your parenting journey, we can't teach kids to be respectful. Kids just yell at parents nowadays. Kids just do this with parents nowadays. That's how it is. No, I am all about teaching parents how to raise respectful children without having to yell at them. Does the respect end? No. You still need certain structure in your home, and it is reliant on past generations and future generations, and it affects both of them. I'm going to read you a quote that I actually posted ironically today. In every decision we make, we must consider the next 7 generations based on the wisdom of the 7 generations before. That is a quote from the Haudenosaunee Great Law of Peace. What is going on in the past is still important. What is going on in the future is important. So how do you balance it? You mentioned it. You actually mentioned it, Ali. You go over your core values, your beliefs, your goals. What is it that makes you you? And what are those values that you want to pass on to your child? Along with the knowledge that prejudice comes from ignorance.
Yep.
That's it. It is that simple. Prejudice comes from ignorance. So in my children's book, Being Different is Fun, and I would show you a copy, but I don't have one here. Being Different is Fun is all about that there are different people out there in the world. And how do we get to know them? We communicate with them. We learn about them. In the Day of Calm, we're starting a podcast called Common Grounds, bringing two people of different cultures, different beliefs. I believe this, you believe this. And we're not canceling them. We're not blocking them. We're not ghosting them. We're learning about why they believe that way. You may disagree with someone, but instead of saying, I hate you, even though I've known you for 25 years, all of a sudden I hate you. How about finding out why they believe that way? Because we all have valid reasons why we believe the way they are, why we believe the way we do. We all have valid reasons. And when you meet someone that's different culture, different sexual preference, like you mentioned, different way of living, ask, inquire. When I wore body brace, I mentioned earlier, from my neck to my hips for 5 years, people would ask me what happened because you could see it out of my shirt. My clothes covered it up, but you could see the metal coming out
Yeah.
of my shirt and surrounding my neck. And people would say, "Why?" And I I I can't say I never got upset because I used to get sick of adults asking me, but when kids asked me, I told them why. You should show you a picture of my brace. It's on the internet. You know, it's good to ask questions. I had a little girl. I have a kids fitness company called Funfit that I started with my sister in 1987. And we had a class of 3-year-olds, and special needs kids are always invited to mainstream into our classes. And I do, ones specifically for certain challenges. But we had a little girl who had a walker, and she was 3 years old, and she wanted to, she was questioning whether her mother was questioning whether she should come into my 3-year-old class. And I'm like, absolutely. And she's like, but she has a walker. I'm like, believe me, it will be fine. She comes into the class, and now if you think like a 3-year-old, an adult's like, oh, she has a walker, they're going to make fun. Heck no, they did not make fun. Every 3-year-old was like, where is my walker? How
Yeah.
come she gets this cool thing and I don't? And she learned so much balance and ability and strength in her legs that she was able to do some things without the walker.
Right.
And then she gave the other kinds turns with the walker. It was a huge win-win success. You got to encourage your children to learn about each other, to find out why, age appropriately.
I
And
was just
I
gonna
say
say,
that
so
because,
help me.
Ali, sometimes they're bringing stuff in that is age appropriately, is this correct? Unexplainable. You can't make a 4-year-old understand what was just put before them. They don't understand it. They don't have
My
the mental
daughter
capacity.
genuinely had an innocent, like, why do you hate me moment look, right? Because I blocked the show from Netflix so it won't even show in a list. And it's like one of her favorite shows. She's like, Papa, I'm watching that show. Why are you removing it? And I genuinely, I was like, they said a bad word. She's like, no, they didn't say a bad word. I'm like, they did. She's like, they didn't say stupid. To her, stupid is a bad word.
It's like in my house, shut up was a bad
Yeah,
word.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
S words.
I felt terrible that I had to take this joy away from her. But look, I'll give you an example. And again, you said age appropriate. In first year of pre-K, when my son was just 4 years old, his teacher, I don't know if it's even appropriate. It was a gentleman with a full beard, but dressed as a woman. That's in a pre-K like class where I had to give my child, and the teacher at the door will take the child by hand. So my child comes back home and asks, "Can I have earrings?" And I was like, "No, like a stud, not yet. You're too young for that." He's like, "No, no, like the name of the teacher." And I was like, "Oh, how do I tell my child?" Like, and it's infuriating because you're like, it's too early for me to talk to you about sexual orientation or gender identity. You're 4. So how do you, as a parent, handle that conversation, or do you just distract and not talk about it? I mean,
Now,
help me
it's
out here.
important to talk about things. If your child asks, in the last chapter of my book, Raising Happy Toddlers, is actually how to have difficult conversations with your child, because there are a lot of difficult conversations to be had. But you have to remember their ability to understand. And one of the important things to remember about a toddler is that they do not know the difference between fantasy and reality. This is
Yep.
a very important fact. They don't learn, kids don't get that ability to decipher between fantasy and reality until they're around 6 years old. So, like, if they're seeing, there was a very funny little video with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson,
Yep.
and
Yep.
he had his 3-year-old sitting on his lap, and they're watching Moana, and he's trying to convince his 3-year-old that he is Maui.
Yep.
And he's singing along with Maui, and he's like, "See, I'm Maui." And she's like looking at him like he's like from Mars, and like, no, Dad, there's my Maui on the TV and your dad, because she doesn't have that capacity. What a child at that age sees is 100% real. So his teacher you could say he's in costume, but then he would go and say, "Why are you in costume every day?" And that might be insulting. Better to say we all get to choose what we like to wear, like make it a clothing issue. Don't
So
be like,
here's
"Well, he wants to identify with a girl." Totally confusing. He'll never understand that.
so this is where I need your help. This is and this is, and can I speak my truth and be open with
Speak your
you?
truth. I'm with you.
It's now so this is where it becomes a fear, and I think I speak on behalf of many parents in my situation, or at least with my
There are a lot
core
of
belief.
parents listening that think the
Right.
same.
So there's the fear factor of, if I try to have this conversation, or uncomfortable or hard conversation with a child, and do my very best to make it positive and reassuring and educational and respectful, that I am normalizing a decision making that, well, my parents explained to me that it was okay for people to be different. So when that child is going to grow and get into the exploratory times of their lives, which we all have those, it's natural to humanity to watch things and, like, what is that and what is this? That I am creating a path of a belief system that it's okay to go that route. So that's a fear. I'm not even going to say how, but that's my truth. And
I'm glad you're being honest, because it's a fear of many. Understand, like, reflect back when you were 13 or 14, when you were thinking, "Oh, I like this guy. I like this girl. I like whoever I like." When you felt uncomfortable and you're like, "What should I do? Should I ask this person to a dance? Should I not ask the person?" It is a natural time. We got hormones raging. We got puberty. It is a natural time of confusion. Add in now, you can like whoever you want to like, which you could before, but not necessarily accepted. Now, even more confusing. Well, I like this girl. Is that okay? I like this guy. Is that okay? This girl is my best friend. Does that mean she's more than my best friend? Or is she simply my best friend? I mean, my best friend, who is a girl, has been my best friend since she was 2 years old. We are now in our mid-60s, and we're still best friends. Never was there a sexual relationship between us. We were simply best friends. And you have to, simple is better. The best I can explain it is simple is better. So for the teacher, it's like, well, people get to wear whatever they want to wear, which is true. People get to wear whatever they want to wear. And the way you can encourage that is you can offer your child 2 pairs of pants. Do you want the green pants or the red pants? Do you want the yellow shirt or the Spider-Man shirt? And give them choices. And then it seems more realistic to them than, do you want earrings or not earrings? So it's that whole thing gets explained as simply as possible. I would express that love is love, and it is much better than hate. And
Oh
the
yeah,
world
100%.
needs more
Yeah.
love.
Yeah, we are definitely, just for the record, we are on the same page there. I mean, I have friends who, are part of the LGBT plus community, that I have these conversations with them, like, dude, I love you, but do me a favor. My son is too young to be exposed to anything like that. So when you are with your significant other, just keep your hands to yourself. I don't want to confuse my kid. Like, I have those conversations. And the reason I have those conversations, I believe when my son is 13, 14, 15, then I think it's okay, because he's are in that appropriate puberty age, as you called it, to explore life and what sexuality is. And athlete, like, I mean, that's when we went to, sex ed class and all that stuff. But he's 4. And I mean, my daughter's 4, my son is 7. Like you've mentioned, we mentioned at the beginning of this interview that it takes us till 25. And I know that for men, sometimes 27 years old, to fully develop our decision making part of our brain. And I got to talk about gender identity and all that. So it's very, very
That
challenging.
is so above their heads.
Yeah.
That is so they barely know what their gender is. And it's simply look in your pants. If you got a penis, you're a boy, and if you have a vagina, you're a girl. And that whole concept is being disputed these days. But scientifically, that is the fact.
Mhm.
And parents, I do think parents are doing their kids a disservice by not letting them understand the basic biological truth about a human being.
I love the
And
way you put that. I actually definitely, because there's a thing as gender affirmation, and um, it's a real thing. Regardless, I'll leave it up to the listener and the viewer to decide how they feel about it. But in 11 states in the United States, gender affirmation can be as young as 6 years old, where a school teacher or guidance counselor can sponsor a gender affirmation for a child without the consent of their parent. Now that scares the living crap
that
out of
is,
me.
I'll tell you, that's terrible. And I'm not being prejudiced, and I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
going against any groups or anything
right.
like that. I seriously love everybody, and
Same
I
here.
honestly think we need more love in the world. So
Yeah,
love who you want to. But if you are creating that for a child, or even changing their sex because you believe they want to be a boy if they're a girl, or they want to be a girl if they're a boy, that is child abuse. Why? Because they cannot mentally form that decision. They do not know the reality versus fantasy. I played with cars. I fixed cars when I was a kid. Did that mean I wanted to be a boy? No, that
and I
means I
played with
love
my
cars,
sister with,
and I still love cars.
and I played with my sister with dolls.
Right. Does
And
that mean
yeah,
you
so
wanted to be a
I get it.
girl?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. No, I
And
get it.
we are making assumptions, illogical assumptions, for developing humans and developing brains.
Yeah,
Give them
it's
a chance to grow up and decide for themselves. Don't make a decision based on what you think might be true.
I appreciate the way you put it. Like, hey, listen, I believe that there is such a thing as some people are born with certain level of hormones that they feel a certain way. And when they're
Absolutely.
grown and they're ready to make their own decision, God bless. Look, it's between you, your body, and your creator. I love you for being happy for who you are with whomever you may want to be. But when you see things like, I mean, look, they're just Google search gabies. These are parents who automatically, from the birth of the child, they say this child is going to be raised as a gay child.
Right.
And
Or a
and and
they. They're not even gonna have a sexual identity. They're gonna be
yeah,
a
like a
they.
gender neutral child.
And
Yeah,
you know what happens is the babies go to kindergarten and they say, "I'm a they," and the child says, "No, you're not. You got a
yeah,
penis just like me."
yeah.
And
No,
they
I
go, "You're a
totally.
boy." And then major confusion. So you are actually setting your kids up for failure. I'm
Well,
sorry to say.
I really genuinely appreciate the love and the passion that you have for everyone, and at the same exact time, the willingness to work with different parents with different core values and different belief systems. Because look, we work with different entrepreneurs regardless of their belief system, because business is business, right? Like, X and Y, like it doesn't like whatever we do, we got to do it. And I am grateful for your skills, for your abilities, for your talent, for your experience, and now more than ever, in such a huge variables in the society that we are living in right now, with your experience, old school meets new school with a little bit of spark of the future. I think your program can help a lot of parents, and I highly recommend, regardless to your gender orientation or whatever the case may be. This is a conversation that is very good. I think I would love a roundtable with everybody, to your point, so I can get educated, because there's a lot that I don't understand, and I definitely don't know, that I think will allow me to understand how to educate my children, and in many ways. But going back to parenting, you've done a few different things with Pumped Up Parenting. You've written books, and you've created the movement of dayofcalm.org, and so much more. What is extremely exciting in the future of Celia, or the near future, that we need to know about now?
Well, I'll save this for the first time release ever.
Ooh,
Coming
breaking
soon.
news.
Coming soon and actually ready for beta release is my baby, my AI baby, and that is Stella. And Stella is your pocket companion to helping you resolve anything in parenting. So Stella, her wisdom comes from me. Everything I've taught, learned on my courses, my books, everything is packed into Stella. So that way I always know you are getting the best information possible, the most cooperative, respectful information, so that you can get a quality answer to your problem that has been tried and tested and true, all packed in Stella. And when you ask her a question, she will probably ask you back a question or two to clarify, but then she will give you a successful strategy to approach that issue on the spot. So no longer do you have to guess. No longer do you have to search the internet. No longer do you have to search through this person's opinion and this person's opinion and this video and this video. Stella will be in your pocket, and she'll tell you exactly what to do in any given situation.
Goodness gracious, you dropping breaking news. I
And
wish
that's breaking news, because no one but my family knows about it, and
I mean,
my
literally,
people working on her.
I wish I had the air horns, like that was amazing, confetti and all beautiful. I'm very excited to hear, and I stand by my offer for 15. Actually, got upgraded to 16. You, young lady, because of the love and the nuggets that you've just given us, we're gonna give you one of those vacations as well. So
Oh,
whenever you're ready to do 4 nights, 5 days in Mexico with hubby, you just let us know.
I love you.
And yeah, so you just let us know whenever you're ready to do that. You
Love
just got
it,
to
love
cover
it,
your
love it.
taxes and your
Thank
flight.
you, Ali. Thank
Well, you got to thank Rich for that one, because
Thanks, Rich.
he's the one who's in control of those. And he texted me. He's like, hey, make sure you hook her up with one for herself as well.
Thank
So you
you.
got
And
15 of your clients who finish the full 6 months. You just got to text me first name, last name, and
okay,
email,
I
and
will
let them know
do.
what to expect, so they don't think. By the way, it's not a timeshare presentation. There is no selling your identity or none of that. We
I
have
didn't
a
even
part
think of that.
ownership. We have a part ownership of a travel company, and we have 1 million credits, and we can take advantage of those.
That's awesome.
So
That's
we get to
awesome.
hook up our people as
And
well.
can I mention how people can reach out and have a conversation with me about what's going on?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're coming towards the end. So I want you to definitely drop every single resource, every single contact point that you want, every everybody to know about. And just keep in mind, everybody, everything that you're about to hear from Miss Celia, we're going to put it in the copy of this episode. So just go ahead and click on the description, and you're going to be seeing all of these links. You can click on them directly. But go ahead, Celia, talk to us.
Okay, so if you're interested in having a conversation, I have a parenting SOS call. What is this call? It's an 1 hour strategy call with me. It's not free. I don't do it free because I want you to be committed to the call. I don't want you to take it lightly. But if you work further with me, you may stop at this call and it may answer your question and you feel confident. If you work further, the money you pay for that call, I'll tell you it's $50, which is way lower than my hourly private fee. It will get applied to anything. So it will go if you decide to move forward. Go to talkwithcelia.com. Talkwithcelia.com. We'll pick out a time to talk and we'll have that conversation and we'll see what's going on with you and how I can help you resolve something that's making you nuts and see where you can go in the future. If you want my books, Raising Happy Toddlers comes in English and Spanish. Like Ali said, won the Mom's Choice Award, just won the 2024 International Impact Book Award for Parenting. Go to celiasbooks.com. That'll give you direct links to Amazon for those books and my children's books. Go to celiasbooks.com. So those are the key things. Every month I do a program on yell-free parenting. And if you go to one more link, yellfreefamily.com, you can register for the next one. Even if it tells you the past date, get in there, sign up, and we'll have you on the list for the next program. It's complimentary, tells you everything you need to know to really get your family not yelling anymore, because that's my goal. And the only way I'm going to reach everybody is doing information that you can learn from, you can take action on. And I encourage you that if you are listening to this and you heard one thing, take action on it. Be consistent with it. Don't give up on it just because it didn't work the first time. Keep going and you will see results.
Right on, right on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard her here. Not the first time. Certainly is not going to be the last time. We are super, super excited. Last time we collaborated, we got a PR campaign for you. And I believe it was 138 articles that were, or news channels that picked up your story. I cannot wait until we get the whole world to hear this message. This was such a productive conversation, to say the least. I highly recommend it for every single person. Rewind and go through this information again. Make sure you go through the description, click and follow Celia, subscribe to her YouTube channel, connect with her on LinkedIn, add her on Facebook. She is a wealth of knowledge, wisdom, information, and as you can tell, as authentic as it can be. She speaks her truth with love, with empathy, and of course, straight to the point, which is something that you need if you're going to have somebody who's going to guide you on the most important relationship in your life, and that is your relationship with your children. And I think it's going to be a lot of healing for you as well as an individual. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we thank, appreciate, and love you for everything that you represent and for the time that you've spent with us. Celia, I'm going to let you have the last 30 seconds for that one person who needs to truly, truly hear the message directly from you.
My best advice to you all, you heard it before, but I am serious. The best advice is take it to heart today. Decide to stop yelling and replace that with starting to notice the positive your children do. And don't just notice, tell them you noticed. Honey, thank you so much for playing with your sister. Thank you so much for putting your clothes in the laundry. Thank you for helping me with the dishes. You said, please, thank you for asking so kindly. Notice all the good they do and let them know you noticed. I'm telling you, if you do that one single thing, it's a game changer.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We love and appreciate you. Don't forget, connect, subscribe, and add Celia. And until next time, peace out, everybody.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the International Day of Calm. I'm Celia Kibler, and I'm the founder of this incredible day. And I'm so excited to spread calm all across the world. Can you imagine if everybody stayed calm for one day, for just 24 hours, and not even because we sleep part of that time? But if we can intentionally stay calm, I personally believe it truly can change the world. Because once you've spent one day of calm, you want the rest of your days to be that peaceful, that fun, that happy, that invigorating, that motivational. It really will change your world and the world around you. A little about me. I am a family empowerment coach and the author of Raising Happy Toddlers, as well as 3 children's books. And I have been working with parents and kids for over 40 years, as well as parenting my own children for 40 years. And I am on a mission to stop 1 million parents from yelling at their kids. But I don't want it to just stop there. I want everyone to stop yelling, everyone to stop hating, everyone to stop judging and criticizing. I want everyone to start thinking before they act. Start contemplating a proactive response instead of a reactive response. Start really taking the intention to create a calmer, a more cooperative communication, workplace, family for all the days to come. And I really do believe one day of calm can make that happen. We really can change this world. It really can start with just one person. And I love you to say right now, I'm calm too, and use that hashtag proudly. So now push that button, take the pledge, and welcome aboard. See you in our next calm world for the generations to come. Bye-bye, everyone.